We're going to create a culture of excellence in everything we do. If you're mopping those floors, you mop those floors the best way you can. If you're taking out trash, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're an administrative assistant, whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. Do it in excellence. Because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about our kids and our serve, it's about our community, it's about our parents.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. As always, I'm your host, Dr. Rick Fernandez, and we're at TASA Midwinter 2024, and I have one of my favorites, one of the special guests that I call favors on, so she's doing us a favor today.
Oh, hush.
Dr. Tiffany Spicer, Superintendent.
Yes, sir.
Buna ISD.
Yes, sir.
It's like a 1-year anniversary.
Yes, it is. It is. I was here last year, and that was my first year, and now year 2, here we go, strong.
Well, I had to have you back because I want to get your take and your perspective. 1 year in the seat, Give me some things that were highlights for you.
Highlights. Well, I think number one, just making it through the first year. So I don't know if you remember, but last year I told you my first day on the job.
Yes.
It
was quite the day.
It was quite the day. I had to reassign an athletic person. And then after that, the second week, I had a major bus accident where somebody hit the back of our bus. They left their parent in the car and they fled the scene. And then I had another bus accident. So I had back to back to back. And I'm like, okay, where's my honeymoon? I didn't have one.
Right.
And so it was just kind of like a crazy start. But the district was good. It was just all the other things we were dealing with.
Yeah, it's kind of dominoes just started happening.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Right? And so just fast forward to this past September, that was my first year. It was the anniversary. But I got to open up the school year. We had convocation that was insane.
Okay, tell me about that, because
cool.
I'm always curious about how people get everybody excited about the new year.
Right, so we brought Jerry Brooks, and that was like a highlight. Like you would have thought I just gave everybody like $1 million,
He's hilarious, isn't he?
He was hilarious. The vibe was just crazy cool. We had music. We had I had an opportunity. Everybody sent me their song. So we had a walk-up playlist kind of thing for the whole district, though.
I love that.
So we had bass booming, music going, and people like jamming. And I'm like, who's going to own the song? But nobody wanted to own the song because there was some crazy songs in there. But we played them, you know what I mean? So it's just a great start and a great launch to the year. We gave a retention stipend. We gave backpacks. We just gave a whole bunch of different things to say, hey, we see you. We appreciate you. We know it's a rough year, a lot of transition, things are going on. But they were thankful. They were grateful. There's lots of just happy tears. And so starting the year like that was just awesome. So that just launched my second year, which made me feel like we're doing right. We're going in the right direction.
That's awesome. So convocation hits, first day rolls around. What did you do the first day, and what do you remember is like that? When you see the kids the first day, it's just like, all right, this is why we do this.
It was amazing. Like I had on my little first day of school outfit.
Which was what?
I had on this cute little brown dress from Ann Taylor. It was really, really cute, but very simple. You know what I mean? Because I'm suited out, so I'm just like, no. Had on cute shoes, cute outfit, cute hair, and I'm just walking around seeing kids, and kids are showing me their outfits, and teachers are having their outfits. So it was just a great first day to be back, and that was my first day of school with the staff too. So it was like cool, unique because I didn't experience that the first year that I started, but it was just a great launch. Our parents are happy, just meeting our elementary parents, dropping their kids off and they're crying and just reassuring them, hey, your babies are in good hands. We're here. We got you. We understand. Go enjoy your day. Go to work. When you come back, they'll be here. We got you.
So were there any dads crying? Would you going to have to escort me out the building?
There were some dads. They weren't crying, but you could see that they were like their little hearts. They felt like they were leaving their hearts with us. Yeah. And so I can only imagine, my kids are grown. And so I'm kind of like, I'm past that. But I do understand for people who have littles that are leaving them with us on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And that's one of the hardest things for a parent to do. And to do that and say, okay, I'm trusting
you with my child.
I'm trusting you with my child.
The best prized possession, the best that they have, right?
The best that they have, the best that we're doing. And Lord knows I make some mistakes, but we're giving you everything that we have.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's a perspective sometimes we forget as educators. Like, look, we can complain about what I'm sure people complain about my parenting, but I'm trying.
That's what I got.
I'm trying.
And that's all I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the best that we possibly can. So let's talk about your teachers. What is the focus for this year? Like, you're fired up for convocation. Is there anything you want to say, hey, this is going to be our one or two big things we're focused?
Yeah, we talked about a couple things. One, I was like, we're not going to start a whole bunch of new initiatives. I'm not that initiative girl.
Right.
I'm like, hey, let's do one or two things and let's do them great. And so as a system, so convocation, we just talked about our communication and just singing our own praises. So as you know, public school, it's under attack, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Everything you hear in the media is negative, negative, negative. And so my message to the staff was, here's the thing. We're going to create a culture of excellence in everything we do. If you're mopping those floors, you mop those floors the best way you can. If you're taking out trash, if you're a teacher, if you're a parent, if you're an administrative assistant, whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. Do it in excellence. Because it's not about you, it's not about me, it's about our kids and our serve, it's about our community, it's about our parents. And so that was like kind of the message for everybody else. And then instructionally, we just talked about literacy. Yeah. That has been our focus. It's kind of getting back to the basics on how we do literacy pre-K through 12.
Yes.
And so that's been the focus. So my belief, and I think our team's belief, and even our teachers and meeting with PLCs, is if we can fix that instructional and kind of close the gaps that we have, accelerate the kids that need to get caught up, if you will, and just make sure we have some fundamental practices, best practices, if you will, in place, our kids will excel. I'm not a person who says, hey, star. I get it. It's there. But my belief is this. If we do right by our kids, set up systems and processes for them to be successful and for our teachers to be successful, it will take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's what we're trying to do, is just focus on that literacy piece right now as we go through the year, and not just in our English classes, but across all contents.
Yes, because we're all reading teachers, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel sorry for some of the kids that I was their reading teacher, so to speak. But it is something that we all have to own, because we're all in it together.
We are.
You know, you speak about your admin team, right? So this is their first full year and kind of kicking off. What was your focus for them? Is there some leadership components? Just like, I really want you guys to hone in on this year.
Yeah, we did a book study last year that finished at the end of last year, but beginning of this year. John Maxwell's 17 Essential Leadership Skills. I'm sure I'm missing up the title, but working through that helped us work as individuals, but also work as a collective. And so we kind of navigated our way through that. But then also at convocation, the whole district got the book. Okay. And so my expectation was, hey, let's work on this together as a system. So for me, I have ladies in our admin building, and I have assistant soups in there. I have administrative assistants. We're working through the chapters of the book. The high school, the junior high, elementary.
Everybody.
Anybody's a director, that's what you talk about. So the coaches, and one of my coaches is like, my coaches really like this. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because sometimes coaches are just like, yeah, we love you, but we don't,
Yeah.
And so
we'll be at the meeting. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's one of those to where everybody's like, okay. Number one, it's an easy read. And number two, it's kind of like about a self-reflection. And so once you kind of get like, this is what I need to do, how can that impact and help me as a teacher, me serving my students, my family, my community? So I think that was a good launch, and just easy, but kind of getting what we wanted to get across to this whole system.
You know why I love that? And I think that what you said is important, right? Because so often professional development is centered on how to make you better, right? Instead of how you can be better internally. Like we're doing something for the external effect, and to give teachers and your staff something that's going to help them grow internally, and it may not see a direct
correlation, right?
Yeah, but it's something that's like, okay, this is for my well-being and benefit.
Correct. Well, and you know what? Speaking of that, I think sometimes people forget that we serve people.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, we have to get results, and we will get results. I'm that person. We're going to get results. We're going to take care of kids, but you got to take care of your people. And I think sometimes we forget that. We're doing the work. We're grinding. We have TA saying this. We have the community saying this. You might have your board saying this. You might have your staff saying something different, right?
Sure.
But you got to take care of people. And that's what my firm belief as a leader. And that's like what I do as a superintendent. And that's what I'll do forever. As long as I'm, in this role of superintendency, I want to make sure that we take care of people. Because when you do, they'll take care of kids. And when you say, I see you, or when I say, hey, I see you, and I know that you got some family things going on, go handle that. They respect that. And they'll come back and they'll give you 10 times more because you see that they're a person dealing with life. Because life is going to happen. Life is lifing all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my belief is that you set your priorities. And that's one thing I did last year that I'm holding fast to. Your faith, your family, your health, and your career. And those are my priorities. And I told them, I said, listen, find out what your priorities are And I'm praying to the good Lord that faith is somewhere in there, and that family somewhere in there, and that your health is somewhere in there, and your career. Yes, it's important, but it shouldn't be the first thing on the list, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I try to model that expectation for them, and then you can see it. So they're like, "Hey, I gotta go take care of this for my child," and I'm like, "Okay," and they're like, "Really?" I'm like,
Well,
"Yeah."
it allows them to
You
do
give
that.
permission.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It
Because
allows
people
them.
say it, and then they're
Yeah.
like, not really. You know what I mean? So
No, I mean, and guilty as charged, right? Is like, we got to accomplish the mission at all costs to everybody, and we're going to do it hell or high water. And that's not the approach. And had I do over again, there's some things I would learn from that perspective. So I'm kudos to you for understanding that. So you got your administrative staff, your kids. You know, it's so hard to attract a teacher, a great teacher to districts, right? To any district. What's your message to keep teachers, but also attract your next crop?
A couple things that I've done or we've done as a system, I'll say since I've been there. First of all, we improved or increased our salaries. We weren't competitive, and like I told the board, I said we say we want the best for our kiddos. We got to pay what we weigh.
Yeah.
And so looking at our finances, we were able to do it. And so we increased our salaries to be competitive in our area. And so I think that's a plus. And even some of the neighboring schools like, wait a minute, Spicer, what'd you just do? You know what I mean? But it had to be done because we were at the bottom. When I say the bottom, we were the bottom.
Oh, wow.
And so now we're number one, number two. You know, I don't know if I'm going to stay up there, but if I'm in the top three, I'm good.
Right.
But also I think we've created a culture to where our teachers feel valued, they feel heard. A couple things I hear from our staff is like, we have resources. Like if they say, hey, we need X, we find a way to get it. You know what I mean? We have to make sure it's aligned. But if it's something that we need, we invest and we get it. So I think just creating that culture, providing the resources that they need, and it's a place where people want to come and work, and it's also a place where people want to bring their own kids and raise them. And so I think those are some of the advantages that we have and some of the, I'll say, selling points. And then people are leaving the suburbs. They're coming out to rural America. They're coming out to the smaller schools and smaller areas. And so they're loving it, and they're just feeling like, okay, this is family. It's more intimate. And so you can do more things. And I think we're hiring some great people. If I tell you, we're getting some good people coming out there.
I'll believe you.
Who are excited, and they want to stay, and they want to make a difference. So I'm excited about that work.
You know, everyone's struggling in that regard.
Yeah.
And so you have to be very mission focused and mission driven.
Intentional.
Yes. And pay always helps, but you know, your staff is going to sing your praises and draw in other people.
Absolutely. If they're happy, they'll tell it. If they disgruntled, they will
tell
that.
They will definitely tell that.
They sure will.
Okay, so biggest lesson learned this year.
Biggest lesson learned.
Looking back on your first year, I should say.
Looking back the first year, I think board relations. So I'll talk from the superintendent lens, right? When you go to school, so I went to grad school. I went to A&M as a doctoral student, and whoop whoop. And I went to UT, went to Texas Tech. Got to shout them all out because everybody can be like, really, Spicer? You didn't call me out, right? I got all y'all. So one thing that you kind of don't learn, they talk about board relations, but they really don't talk about board relations, right? And so I've had to learn how to navigate the board, learning how to have 7 bosses with 7 different personalities, but also know that they're one joint unit, and I'm part of that unit. And so I have had to take my time to learn, to listen, ask questions, let them ask me questions, and build those relationships and build trust. And I'm not sure if I told you this last time, but I got hired in September, board elections November, on board the 3 new, because I lost 3, in December. So I had a new board. So I had 10 board members in 4 months on the job, right? And so I'm just like, wait a minute, what just happened? Nobody told me that was going to happen, right? And so a note to self, I'm like, let me tell other superintendents, if you want to be a superintendent, let me tell you something. Check that board timeline, just so you know when change is coming. Check the cycle, right? You know what I mean? So that's something that you're not told that, right? No. And so, and again, it's not bad. It's just like I wasn't expecting it. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? So I had to start over, right? Have my one-on-ones just like I did that previous August with them to say, hey, Tell me about yourself. What's your vision? Who are some people in the community that I need to know? What are some sacred cows? What's important to you? So just ask my reflective questions and then kind of reset, if you will, with all 7 of those and
Yes,
myself.
because their own dynamics have shifted.
Correct.
Yep.
Anytime you have one new person, it changed the whole system, right? So I had 3. And so we had to have some conversations. It's just kind of learn each other and grow with each other. So we're doing great. We're moving forward and making the district better. But again, I got elections coming up in November, right? 4 seats. So it's like it could happen again. I don't know.
Right.
But whatever happens, we're going to be good. And I'm going to build those relationships with each and every individual who wants to serve, because just the fact that they want to serve as a board member is insane. But bless your heart, because you want to volunteer and take care of the community. I respect that, like, at all costs. You know what I mean? So it's a blessing. So my job is to let's bring us together, make sure we're a team, make sure we're working and just growing together, because the mission is to take care of the district and specifically our students and our staff. What's
your go-to for board retreat? If there's an activity and you get to plan it, what are y'all doing?
We eat. That's the thing. We have food before each of the meetings, and that's the thing. I was just on a panel just a minute ago, right? And so one of the superintendents, she goes, yeah, so we come to my house and we had a party and whatever. And I'm like, what? And so another superintendent's like, yeah, that would not work with my board, right? So I've never experienced that as a superintendent yet. But that we have our board workshops and we talk, and that's kind of how we get that time. But then the one-on-ones, I think to me, that's the most sacred time.
Yes, because you really can dive into to where they're
like,
at.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hands, let's go. Open up. Whatever you want to say, let's go. Let me hear the truth. Then let me hear what you really want to say that you couldn't say, but you thought about saying it, but you just want to say, Spicer, let me tell you what I really feel about X, right? And so I think that's been the strength, is having those one-on-one dialogues. I do it every other month. I send my Friday communications to them as well. But just they know they can pick up the phone and call me. Mm-hmm. Or they send me a text and say, hey, you got a minute? I'm like, yeah, let's go. What do you want to talk about? So that has been our way to kind of build that bond.
How do you incorporate students into that process of, here's my concern as a student, or here's my want? How do you build that?
Thank you for asking. So we have Superintendent Spicer's advisory panel.
That's a whole lot of alliteration.
It's SA3S. I don't even know. I can't remember. S3A something. I don't even remember. You got to look it up. It's on the website, I'm sure. But it's my student ambassadors group, right? And so I'm coming from a smaller place than I'm accustomed to. And we used to have meetings like, I'll say after school. Uh-huh. Well, here, because our kids are in everything. So I have a kid who could be FFA, basketball, cheerleader. I'm trying to think of what else is going on at the same time. And robotics, right? So after school, that's taken.
Right.
So what I do, I go to each of my campuses. And so I have a mini one of my babies for elementary, and there's about 12 to 14 of them. And then I have a meeting in my junior high, and it's about the same number. And then I have my high school group. So it's about 45 kids total, but it's like 12 to 15, 12 to 15, 12 to 15. So like say in February, that's my next one. I have one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday.
It's a week worth of
a week worth,
Yep.
I bring pizza. They have questions. They gave feedback on the calendar. They give feedback on dress code. Everything that they're thinking that they want to change and want to get feedback on, we're talking about. But I've also said, okay, we can talk about it, but what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. This is where I'm going to teach you how to advocate and share your voice, because we need to hear from our students. So that has been the baby that we started this year, to kind of hear our student voice, because they're our main stakeholder.
So what is something that they've either asked for or brought to your attention that was totally unexpected, out of left field? You're like, okay. Is there anything it's always, because you know how honest the kids are.
They are brutally honest. Okay. I have 2 for you. With the calendar. So my elementary babies, let me go back. We start school on Wednesdays. This past year we started on Wednesday, and the year before we started on Wednesday, like a midweek start, just to kind of get them acclimated and transition. So my high school kids are like, yeah, we like Wednesday, da-da-da-da-da. My junior high was like, well, what if we just do two days, a Thursday, Friday? Well, elementary baby said, we just want to start on Friday. We just want to come to school for a little bit, play for a little bit, then have a weekend, and then start school. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. And I was like, I'm going to tell you this. I'm not sure if it's going to go over, but whatever you're bringing me, just so you know, I'm going to take it to the group. And so I shared that back with our community meeting. So it has my teachers, my
The calendar committee. Yeah.
And so just shared the feedback from the kids, and they were just like, okay. So that was one of the ones where I'm just like, oh, okay. And then another thing that the kiddos said that kind of caught me off guard, elementary. So my junior high and high school, you have 8 periods. You go. Well, my elementary baby said, oh, we want to float. We want to have different teachers. We want to move around the school and move around the classrooms. I'm like, oh. So that's something that my bigger kids, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders said. They want to be like the junior high and high school kids. So I was like, well, we're going to talk to the principal. And she's like freaking out. But, out of the mouths of babes, they want to be big kids because that's what they see and hear from their siblings and other people that they know. So, yeah. I was very interested. We haven't touched it yet because we're looking at next year already, but I was like, interesting.
I like it. I like the idea of it. I know, like you said, principal, master scheduler, like, oh, don't do that, please. We just got the specials.
What does
fixed.
that mean? The whole rotation piece, right?
Yeah, no, but that is interesting.
Right?
I would have not guessed that. That is a left field.
Me neither. I was standing there like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But they came up with some pretty cool stuff.
I love that. I love that. You're investing a lot of time doing that, which is absolutely needed. But it is tough to dedicate that amount of time and effort to your kids. But ultimately, they are your number one. Your number one constituent client.
Yeah.
That's what you're serving.
Yeah.
What's on the horizon in Buna?
What's on the horizon? So this past, I'll say, year and a half that I've been there, we have got about $3.2 million in grants, right? So for 1,500 student district, that's huge.
That's I don't think some stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done that. So we have some funding coming in that's going to hopefully, trade outs with general fund and things like that. So I think financially we're on a good path because I know everybody's adopting deficit budgets and things of that nature. You know what I mean? But we're doing great there. So I'm looking at, how can we hopefully compensate our staff as we go forward. We're looking at next year, how are we going to kind of, I'll say, vertically align our math, just like we work with literacy. Mm-hmm. That's another big thing, too. We have some big hires coming for our police chief and in the athletics world. So we have some of those things coming. But like I told the staff and I told the students in just different meetings, I said, here's the thing for me. I said, we have a very great district, but we want to be excellent. Mm-hmm. We want to be number one in everything. And what I mean by that, in the classroom, we want to be excellent at the state level and the national level. We've invested in PSAT for our 8 all the way up through 11. We didn't have that.
Get you some national merits.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so we're paying for that for all kids. And they're just like, wait, everybody? Yes, everybody. And so that's the thing. We pay for SAT for all my juniors. So we're pushing our system.
Kind of bringing up the expectations of what's possible,
Absolutely.
Right? Removing some barriers that
Absolutely.
may be associated with cost or access or all of that
Absolutely.
stuff.
So just making opportunities that have not been there in the past. I meet with some of my seniors in the community. We have a unique name for them, but meet with some of my seniors. And so I was sharing just some of the great things happening in the district. And one of my ladies said, I wish I could go back to school. That sounds so much fun, right? So we're just, creating our pathways to make sure kids have access. We have robotics now, like elementary, junior, and high school. We had it for the high school. We pushed it down to junior high. We pushed it down to elementary,
find the love
right?
At the lower grades.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So just alignment across the board. So if kids have that passion, we can make sure it happens.
And it's only going to grow.
Absolutely,
by
right?
the time they get to high school.
My junior high babies, if I tell you their jerseys are sweet.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I need to make sure they know I need one because I don't have one. But my kids are going to compete, and they're competing across the nation. And then there's one that they went to is another country came to compete.
Yeah.
So I think we're getting our kids on the map. We have partnership with NASA where we're trying to get some things done with those our culinary students and our visual art students, to do for NASA. So we have a couple things that are just coming to where I'll say previously we did not have those opportunities and experiences, but we're trying to create those. So if you're in Buna ISD, you have access and opportunity. And I think that's the biggest thing. So once we kind of get those things going, I think it's going to be...
It'll just snowball.
Awesome.
It'll snowball. Okay,
awesome.
Last question for you.
Sir.
What's one thing you wish you had or that you need that you don't have right now?
One thing.
If you could make it happen, and your genie would grant you, like, I need this as a superintendent.
You got to give me a minute on that one. I never get stomped on questions. And last year you tried to stomp me and I didn't get stomped. But wait a minute. One thing that
Yes. If you could just say, hey, I need this, and money's not a barrier, nothing's a barrier.
You know, I don't know that we're in need of anything like that. I think maybe more time.
Okay.
That's something you probably can't give me.
Well, I guess
But
the genie could give
if
you
you
that.
could create more time.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much we want to do and so much that we're doing. And sometimes I wish I could say, you know what, everybody, just take the day. I know you're tired.
Yeah.
Take the day. Let's do self-care. Everybody go get a massage. Everybody get $1,000 and go just do some self-care. I'll see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? So if I could do something like that for the people that serve our kids, that would be awesome.
So you want a free resort for staff?
You know what? Done. You gonna make that happen for us?
No, I'm not.
It's been caught here live. We're gonna have a resort retreat.
I'm gonna be working there because
Buna
I ain't
ISD.
gonna have a job if I throw that out there. I'll tell you that. No, I love that though.
Gotta take care of our people.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. No. Well, you're off and running.
Yeah.
I was waiting on, like, I had some road bumps here, and you got it going on.
Hey, we're sprinting. It's a marathon.
Always
We're
is.
sprinting at some points. We're jogging at some points. We might be walking at some points, but we're still making progress forward, and that's the bottom line.
Absolutely.
We're moving forward. We're moving together. We're learning from each other. We're loving on each other, and we're taking care of kids first and foremost.
Well, I mean, you're a blessing to all of us, and
Thank you.
obviously to your kids there, and just keep fighting the good
Yes,
fight.
sir.
And,
Yes, sir.
And you've got support
Yes, sir.
from everybody here. So
I appreciate it.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Always. Now, is there anything you want to shout out? Do they need to go to the website? Do they need to follow you on socials?
Oh,
Anything?
yes. I'm on Twitter, Dr. Tiffany Spicer. I have a website, www.tiffanytspicer.com. There I blog. You asked about this is, my second year. So I started blogging about the first year. So I'm still blogging about my second year. So, but people follow and they reach out and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that or I didn't know that. And so get on there.
We're not doing that enough. And so I'm glad that you are, because it's, again, the mistakes are things that we need to have conversation about. The struggles, we don't do that enough for each other.
And we're all going through them. And so when I share and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just me. Well, no, when I hear from people, they're like, girl, let me tell you what just happened. It happened to me too. Or I spoke at TCWSC this Saturday, and I talked about getting your priorities in order and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, one lady at work, I lost some weight because I've been exercising and taking
you look
care of
fantastic.
myself. Thank you so much.
And I told you that, yes.
Thank you so much. Well, she said, are we stressing you out that much? I said, girl, no, it's the other way around. I'm just exercising, taking care of myself so I don't get stressed out.
That's right.
But talking to these women, they're like, oh my gosh, I needed to hear that because I'm stressed. And when I stress, I eat. Or when I'm stressed, I cry. Or when I'm stressed, I do this, And so we're all going through it. But nobody has, I'll say sometimes the strength or the courage to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, you know what, let's put it out there.
Yeah.
This is my reality. This is where I was. This is where I'm at now. And by golly, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm making progress.
I'm on the journey.
Yes.
I'm on the journey.
And I have a new lifestyle change. So when it is stressful, because it is, don't get it twisted, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can bounce back a little bit faster than I did if I'm just like, oh, I'm struggling, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. Words of wisdom. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Open invitation anytime.
Yes. Thank you too. Coming out to Buna, Texas.
We will do that. And to all our guests, like, subscribe, share, follow Dr. Spicer, check out what Buna has going on. And thank you for being here.
Produced by Podcast Architects.